Good evening and welcome to Rock, Paper, Hand Grenades. I'm your host, Joshua Solomon, and with me, it's been a little while, is the Honorable J.P. Marzullo. You've been quite busy, huh?
Yeah, I had a secret mission that I couldn't tell you about, or I'd have to kill you.
Yeah.
But,
you've been throwing communists back over the state line into Massachusetts,
it's hard
where
work,
they belong.
Though. It's hard work catching them now. When you get older, you can't chase them.
Yeah.
You know, so you have to set up for them, like in a blind, like in a duck blind.
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
And that's how you catch them.
How do you catch them?
Oh, they just come.
I mean, it's like fish in a barrel lately. They all congregate downtown in major cities. You can just grab them and net
throw them. Right, absolutely. Anyway, I'm glad to be back and cause some trouble.
As always, Rock, Paper, Hand Grenades is sponsored by the Wilson Hill Pistol Club, the oldest sports shooting club in New Hampshire, at 1732 Lakeshore Road, Manchester, New Hampshire, right here in Manchester. We do not have a waiting list, unlike other sports shooting clubs in the state. There is no waiting list. The monthly meeting is the monthly membership meeting is the first Wednesday of every month. That's next Wednesday at 7 p.m. directly after this show. You can find us on the internet at wilsonhillpistol.org. And coming up, if you go, you can sign up for training. We have the fundamentals and safety training, the FAST handgun course. FAST stands for Fundamentals and Safety Training, this Saturday. And then on February 21st, we have Defensive Handgun Level 1. And then on March 14th, Defensive Handgun Level 2. These training classes are centered around defensive tactics and use of your handgun, safety and whatnot, as opposed to sport shooting, which is what you would normally find with NRA type classes. We do teach NRA classes as well, but that's the schedule for now. We have those 3 classes scheduled over the next couple of months. Tonight we have yet another returning guest, Mr. Jerry DeLamus. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you.
Really well. You are a returning guest, but it's the first time you're on the show with me.
Yeah.
Your wife Susan came and joined us, and that was and I was on the show with her, but you were still away on your little vacation at the time, so I didn't get to meet you. And then JP has invited you on a few times.
Yeah.
So.
The schedule's always difficult.
Yeah. What are you doing, like the first and third Wednesdays?
Yeah, I'm on the planning department.
Whereabouts?
Farmington,
in Farmington,
New Hampshire. Yeah. I just, Susan and I are both big on civic duty. And if you're not involved, somebody's got to be.
Right.
And I've been a builder for 49 years.
Wow.
It's hard when you're 21 and you've been a builder for 49 years, but I pulled it off. And and I was a licensed general contractor in California. I built all kinds of big stuff down there, crazy stuff, 5-story buildings and 500 house subdivisions, crazy stuff I did out there, because everything out there is pretty big customs in Malibu and such. And but I got out of the insanity of California, actually, because of the illegal immigration. And
wow.
There were so many illegals flooding into the state, and they were hitting all the job sites, and I couldn't compete.
So how many years ago was that? Just to put things in perspective.
That was in the 80s.
Yeah, so they were already doing that.
Oh yeah, big time.
Yeah.
And what happened is they come in and they were collecting at that time far less than the American workers were, and so people would use them. And then they wouldn't have to pay any of the other stuff on top of it. Yeah. And then if I'm bidding a job and they've got their labor costs are like half of mine, right? Or close. Maybe, I can't compete and pay my guys a living wage.
Right.
So I had enough of it, and I got out of California and ended up back I was in Colorado for about a year, and then in Connecticut, down in Lyme and Old Lyme, I built a couple subdivisions there, and then. It's Connecticut. So I was looking for, where's a conservative state in New England, which is kind of an oxymoron. And I had thought, because I didn't know that much about the politics of the states, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And I mean, I made great money down in Connecticut. And I thought, well, I'll look at Maine, I'll look at New Hampshire, I'll look at Vermont. And it didn't take me long once I thought about those 3 states to realize I was not going to Maine and I was not going to Vermont. And so New Hampshire was it. And that's when Shaheen got elected, right after I got there. And I was
so
like...
there's a slap in the face.
I was like, you gotta be...
Because prior to her, we had, we had like 10 years
Lynch.
of Republicans.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Oh, well, we did have Lynch.
Yeah, we had Lynch for
right?
eight years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was just... so I got actually more involved in the politics. I was involved down in Connecticut, and especially school stuff. A lot of school stuff. The outcome-based education back at the time was going on. I was sending stuff around the country on what that really was.
Yeah.
And, I'm a research guy. Once I get my teeth in something, that's that. And so anyways, ended up in New Hampshire. And Sue and I got married 22 years ago, I think it was, yeah. And
She might be listening.
right.
she might be listening. Yeah, I'm close enough. She knows. And best thing in my life. And
So where are you from originally then?
Los Angeles.
Oh, you are?
Yeah, San Fernando Valley. Born and raised in the San Fernando Valley. I went
You went
Marine
into the
Corps.
service from there?
Yeah, I went in the Marine
Marines?
Corps at MCRD San Diego, which is the recruit
Yeah,
depot.
oh, yeah.
Was down there, and so my goal was to become a sergeant in the Marine Corps when I went in, and because I thought that was the toughest of tough, and
Right.
and then they tried to send me to officer school. And out of boot camp, and throughout the time I was in, I got a few meritorious promotions and such. But they wanted me to go to officer school, and I was like doing the math. I'm like, man, you got to be like a major to make any money. And I just had a baby, and my oldest girl, she was born actually on Camp Pendleton at the Naval Hospital, and so I got out. Now my family was most of them are construction.
So that's how you got into construction?
So I went in as a slave. Yeah,
Exactly.
$4 an hour in 1977. Not good money. It wasn't good money then.
Especially not there, too.
But I learned fast. Yeah, and then I got my own contractor's license, started my own business, and
Out there?
yeah, out there. That was the toughest test in the world at the time. I built a lot of stuff out there. You had to know everything. You had to know your business, which I'm good with. And then I came across the country and ended up here in New Hampshire. And Sue and I, we bought this place on Farmington on 1860 Cape. I'm rehabbing completely. I gutted it. And,
Yep, I saw it.
yeah, it was quite a thing. And so I've got the house pretty much structured now for the addition that we don't really need. And that I'm going to add on. I'm going to put a shop on, but yeah. So and Sue's in the State House again.
Yeah. What committees is she on? Do you know?
Health and Human Services. I believe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
And,
So let me tell you a quick story. My dad was a builder. My whole family was in either builders or painters or electricians. So
Yep.
we captured it all, right?
Yep.
And my mom wanted some work done at the house, at our house. We lived in a 2-family house with my uncle upstairs, one of those things.
I can see where this is going.
Yeah, and so, so my father never got to what he was going to do until my mother threatened him, and she said, "If you don't get that done next week, I'm going to hire a carpenter to come in and fix it." He fixed it the next day.
Yeah, that will do it. Yeah.
That was the incentive.
Well, when I bought the place in Farmington, within 2 days I had plans drawn, and we got a really good deal on it and everything. All the real estate prices were crazy high.
But
we got a really good deal on it. But it needed everything, and I think probably a builder was going in there for money may have taken it down. But I love the old houses.
Yeah.
I've done a number of them, and I just love them. And it's kind of a sin to me to tear one down, save it if at all possible. And so I designed it, drew it, and hopefully this next fall we'll be in it. And I've above my shop I'm adding an apartment for my son and his wife and their 16-year-old daughter, who'll probably be 17 at that time. Yeah, she will be. And just give that boost, that family boost. And I've got them running some work for me anyway, so.
That's great.
Yeah, so yeah, it's we're busy, it's good. And for those who don't know, is that former Marine. I'm very outspoken. I'm very set in what and I'm a black and white guy. I'm a right and wrong guy. It's like it's either right or it's wrong. We don't live. If we live in the gray area, it's like voting for the lesser of two evils. You're still going to get evil.
Right.
And,
Exactly.
And I'm a straight shooter. I know Romney. Him and I don't get along. When he was running for president, and he called me for a meeting, actually with whoever ended up being the Speaker of the House, his VP candidate, I can't remember his name, and for a meeting trying to get me to support him and Romney, and I was like, not doing it. I don't trust him, don't like him. I think he's just shooting for position, and I want somebody who knows what the Constitution is and what it means, and. So
I can remember us handing out those little Constitution books, remember?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and this is the problem we have with our government. And it's that our government doesn't, for the most part, read the Constitution, nor do they follow it, nor do they care about following it.
They don't
and you
have
know,
any
remarkably,
understanding.
who else does that? Pastors, priests. They do the same thing with the Bible. They don't read it. They get a doctrine from a denomination. They go to their seminary and they fill all the holes that they don't know from reading it, the scripture through themselves, and they just go with that. And it's like being a Republican. You only know the Republican mantra, or a Democrat, you only know the Democrat mantra, but everything you look at is through those lenses.
Yes.
And instead of backing up and going, hey, well, you know what? That guy's a Democrat, but he's not wrong on everything.
Exactly.
And I was on CNN with, I think her name's Cortez, a Spanish name, gal, and when Trump was running the first time. And she was talking about, they all hated. Well, they liked him at first because they didn't think he'd win. But then when they realized he was going to win, they hated him. And she's asking me some questions, and I went off on NAFTA and GATT, which I was absolutely opposed to. And I was right. And she said, wow, Jerry, you sound more like a Democrat than a Republican. And I said, I hope I sound like an American.
Yeah, there you go.
That's what I want to sound like.
Sure.
Both parties have had their hands on the steering wheel in our country, and they both run us off the cliff, both of them. Doesn't matter, Republican, Democrat, and not that there aren't good people in both parties. And I think I don't lean Democrat because I'm very traditional. My faith is traditional. I believe in the Ten Commandments. I believe to follow them. I believe in the Father and His Son and the Holy Spirit, absolutely. And I believe in charity, helping your neighbors. Don't make them beg for help. If you see somebody who needs help, stop and help them. And reach out. Don't just be talk. Don't just talk about what you believe and how you feel, and because the Scripture talks about us, right? Your works. I mean, we're judged on our works. People don't argue that. We've gone to seminary, but that's true. We are judged on our works because our works are an example, are the manifestation of our faith.
Right.
So
you're talking about charity and doing things. Before this show started, you talked a little bit about a friend of yours who was dying of cancer.
Yeah.
Why don't you share that story to the viewers?
Jack and I had met, actually. I wrote, when I was living in Connecticut, an article in the op-ed down in, I don't know if it's the New London Day or the Current, one of the two papers, and he reads it. And I was going after outcome-based education because I had a real problem with the education system, not educating, and maybe indoctrinating, but not educating. And he found my number and called me, and I didn't know him. And actually, he was a builder as well. And, so he asked me, goes, hey, what do you think? You think we can get together sometime, maybe have a cup of coffee, chat for the phone? I said, yeah, when do you want to do it? He goes, how about now? I go, okay. And him and I were fast friends ever since then. I mean, almost inseparable. And he ended up, when I went out to Nevada, to Bunkerville, for those of you who don't know about what happened out there, is there was the Bureau of Land Management had blocked land and set snipers up above this guy Cliven Bundy's family and on his ranch. He had a cattle ranch, and they were they were really rough house on the people there, the family. And Cliven had been born in that house. It was just a little ranch house. I mean, small, nothing fancy. Everybody came in, had spurs on. I mean, they rode their horses out. It was a ranch.
Sure, yeah.
And they owned 160 acres, but they were running cattle on a lot of the Bureau of Land Management land, access land. But they had been running cattle out there since the 1860s, before Nevada was a state. His family had.
Wow.
So they had all the rights in the county for water rights. There's a whole bunch of stuff you have to get. Grazing rights. Well, when the Bureau of Land Management, which started well after they had been out there,
Sure.
like probably 70 years, and they wanted to charge you per head for cattle out there, and they were supposed to take care of all the roads and the water and all that. And he said, okay, all right, fine, we can do that, and I'll pay you whatever it is, you know. So he did it, and there were 51 other ranchers in Clark County, Nevada, and they so they were paying the fees, and then the Bureau of Land Management came back and wanted to renegotiate the contract, and Cliven didn't have a problem with the fee, but he did have a problem with that they could control how many cattle he had on the land. And they've been doing that. All the small ranchers, the independents out west, have gone through this, and and it's a real problem. And what they would do is they get you to sign that contract so you could use that grazing land now, and pay the fee, which most people didn't have a problem with. And but then what they started doing is, when the government wanted that land, they started limiting the cattle. Say if you had 1,000 head, and that's what it took to run your operation.
Right.
And they said, well, you can only have 500 head. They can't take care of themselves. They can't even survive. And most of them, all of them in that Clark County had signed the contract with the Bureau of Land Management, except Cliven. He fought him. He fought him in court and lost. But he said, I'm not signing that contract. And the other ones all went bankrupt.
Yeah, because they signed the contract.
They signed the contract, and that's exactly what the Bureau of Land Management did, which is under the Department of Interior.
Right.
And I learned all this. And but
wealth information.
so what they did is they, as Cliven wouldn't sign the contract, he tried to give the money to the county, tried to give it to the state. They wouldn't take the fees, and they said, nope, that's the federal government. So I tried to give it to the federal government, but he said, I'm not signing the contract. They wouldn't take it. Then they put out this spiel because they wanted that land.
Yep.
And they went after, there's a desert tortoise out there that's that they were going to kill and all this, which I proved all that wrong. Actually, while I was out there, I saw it was wrong. And Cliven knew it because he lived there.
Right.
And what they did is they blocked him from his cattle during milking season and calving season.
Under what authority? You can't force somebody to sign a contract they don't want to sign. But that's the whole point of a contract, right? Is that both parties go into it willingly. And so they've been there forever. It's his land.
Part of it is. But
he's had this relationship for over 100 years. Yeah. This family has had. So under what authority do they have to come in here and I don't understand where that came from. Which is probably why you were out there to begin with, because you don't understand either.
Well, what I recognized was going on is they were threatening him, but I dug into it a little bit. So because I'd been watching on Drudge Report, actually, is how I found out about him. On a Monday morning, I'm watching this thing, and I'm like, ranchers, they had snipers set up above his house.
Yeah,
and they were aiming at
Ruby Ridge at this point.
His kids, and they were aiming at his kids, his grandkids, anybody who came in and out of their house. I mean, they had a little house. I mean, what you would have thought of probably back in the 70s in California, if it was in California, it would probably have been like a $30,000 or $40,000 house. I mean, it was not. They had 160 acres, but it's desert. Right. It's upper desert. But he has the Virgin River running through his property, which is, there is quite a bit of water in there usually, but not all the time. And so what they did is they said, look, you signed this contract with us, or we're going to keep you out of that grazing land. So he was, I'm not signing that contract. So what they did is they blocked all the entrances to the grazing, and his cattle were out there. And it's high desert, so you need a lot of land for cattle, because there's not a lot to eat. And he put all the water stuff in and all this. He even painted them camouflage so they looked like the sagebrush and all that stuff out there. I mean, they went to great lengths to not make a mess of things. And So the Bureau of Land Management blocked off all the exits and the entrances to the property. He couldn't to his house. But they said snipers up above his house on a hill where they were aiming right down at his house and everybody going in and out of that house. I didn't know that at that time. I heard that there was some of that going on the dredge thing. So I had my wife Sue call him, get his phone number because she's good with that. So I called him and I asked him, I go, what's going on? And because I remember Ruby Ridge and I remember Waco, and I don't care if the Branch Davidian husband and the leaders, all those guys were the worst people in the world. There were kids there. There were children there.
Yep.
And and that set me off because I was aghast when I saw that stuff happen. And in both cases, actually. Mm-hmm. And as I was talking to Cliven, he's filling me in on what's going on, Cliven Bundy. And I was like, well, did they... He said, they've got snipers set up at my house, and they're aiming at my family. And I go, do they have a warrant for your arrest? And he goes, no, not that I know of. And he says, but everybody's afraid to go in and out of the house. Yeah. And so never served with a warrant. They didn't even have one.
Exactly.
And so what I came to find out is Harry Reid, the senator, Democrat, for those who are keeping track of this stuff, his son is in real estate. And there was a Chinese solar farm set up. They were trying to get that property to put a Chinese solar farm out there, and there was a squeeze. And Harry's son, I should remember his name, was looking to make I think it was like $5 point something million off the deal,
off the real estate.
So obviously Harry spoke to the Secretary of the Interior because Cliven wasn't going to sell, he wasn't going to leave. He'd been out there before it was a state. Jeez. And to push him off. And they got rid of everybody else. And they met their match with Cliven, though, because he knows the Constitution. He wasn't about to go. Right. And he wasn't going to gunfight him, but he knew his rights. And so he's standing for him. And so what they did is they... with the snipers on there, and Cliven told me about it, and I asked him, I said, I'm on the phone. Mind you, I didn't know him, but I'd watched a bunch of him saying it, and he's holding the Constitution, and he's speaking right. He's not speaking like a crazy man. It's not, I hate the Fed, the government's all bad, and blah, 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 and he's falling back on what a pastor should use in church is the Bible. He fell back on the Constitution, because that's for us, the American citizens. And so I said, so what do you need? I thought maybe because they were cutting his money supply off, obviously, couldn't get to his calves, and they were dying because they couldn't get the milk from the mothers, and the mothers were getting sick because they couldn't get rid of the milk. And so I said, well, so what do you need? What can I do? And I thought, because I knew some governors, I knew some senators, some Congress people, I thought, maybe I could write some letters, make some phone calls, or maybe send him some money if he needed money just to get through, because I need bodies. And I was like, I said, I can't leave till, it was Tuesday or Wednesday. I can't leave. I can't leave today. I says, I've got to go up to my camp and get all my camping gear and stuff. So he says, why? My house isn't big enough to put anybody up. And he says, but you can camp because we can have beef. And, so I'm not looking for anything. I said, I just don't want them killing your family.
Right.
And so I asked him, I says, if they serve you with a warrant, will you abide by it? And he says, absolutely, I will. And so that meant he'd go to jail if that's what they wanted to do and fight the system. And I was still somewhat naive, to be honest with this 2014, is because I thought that our courts, I know they made mistakes and there's always but I thought, basically, they're going to look for justice. I mean, justice is going to be the goal, right? That's the prize of what the courts are supposed to be going after. And so I went out. I got off the phone. Sue, my wife, state rep at the time, I think she was still. Yes. And I said, she goes, "You're going, aren't you?" And I go, "Yeah, I am." And so I called up Jack, my buddy, which is where you started, and told him, hey, so I told him what's going on. He says, and I want you to keep an eye on Sue. If she needs any help or anything, keep an eye. And he goes, what time are we leaving? And him and I were both firearm instructors And I did a lot of long range stuff, and and we did a lot
Yeah.
of training. We did some tactical training stuff too, and NRA certified instructors and stuff. But I never made any money on it because I couldn't bear to charge anybody to teach them how to fire a gun safely. I thought I just didn't work for me, so I gave a lot of free lessons away. I said, buy the ammo, and so I told Jack when I was coming, so I came over there, and my middle son, Josh, who's the one who's going to end up running my business, was there, and he said, I'm going too, Dad. I was like, okay, off we go. So we packed up everything when I got up there, and we got up on a Thursday. On a Friday afternoon, we were in Utah, and then there was this standoff thing that happened below a bridge where the Bureau of Land Management was all gunned up, and then there were firearms. The civilians had firearms too, and but nobody was aiming them at them or any of that. That wasn't going on, and we heard that they were confiscating guns. I wasn't about to let them take any of mine, so I waited till dark that night, and then we packed up and we drove in, and got in there like late, and all that stuff that transpired, I had no idea it had happened. I didn't know there was this standoff thing under the bridge. And the Bureau of Land Management's got their own, like a lot, even Social Security has their own agents, right? They've got a TAC team, and they're gunned up just like they're in Fallujah, and no different with the way they're gunned up. And so when I got there, they wanted to go out and try to find